I can't think of a better place to start, but at one point in our phone conversation, you talked about how you talk about Mr. Mulroney a lot.
Yeah.
You joked that you talk about him a lot.
Yeah.
You're proud of
Yeah.
being Brian Mulroney's friend.
Right. Very proud.
Why is that?
Because it's the type of guy he was. You know, Brian was, you know, I don't know. I think it all happened in the library where we met. He liked books. I liked books, and you could see him right from the start. If there was anybody he could help, like an elderly person came into the library, and there wasn't a seat, and Brian was sitting down, he'd be right up to give a seat to that person. If it was a youngster that was having trouble with getting a book or something, Brian was always there to help somebody. And that's the thing I got from him right at the very start, is that he was always helpful. And plus the fact is that he was one of these kids that, you know, when you're the age of 6, 7, 8, a lot of times you're a little, I say silly, but Brian used to always be, he could be silly, but he was more serious than silly, okay? Wow. And it was easier for him if you were going to do something, may it be good or bad, okay, that you would always be relying on him to say, what do you think? What do you think?
Oh, what would Brian do?
Yeah, and he'd say, okay, here's how we're going to do it. Because he's a guy that meant, none of this maybe so, and maybe we can do it. We either do it or we don't do it. And even at a young age, he was like that.
Growing up here, Mr. Mulroney had a bunch of different jobs.
Yep.
One of them was in this hotel.
Yeah, he worked in this hotel. He worked for at the Hudson Bay Company. I worked there with him at the Hudson Bay Company.
The only store in town for a while.
The only store in town for a while. Exactly right. Yeah.
And then you worked at the pier with him at one point?
Yeah, worked on the pier when they were building Cargill Grain and also Canadian British Aluminium.
What were you doing? You were
we were just labor. Okay. Labor. Brian had a little higher job. He was the what do you call the gatekeeper.
It's a strange question. Growing up, you said Mr. Mulroney was somebody who knew sort of what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Did he feel upwardly mobile? Like, he didn't want to stay in Baie-Comeau, and I mean no offense by that.
No,
he had aspirations.
He had aspirations, but you know, he definitely did. Oh yeah. He always tries to say he did. Okay, but many a time you'd be in a group and he'd say, we'd be talking. Like, I mean, even though we hung around more with English, okay, we also mixed with the French for parties. And as you got into that age, let's say between 12 and 16 years of age, this is when Brian used to say, geez, you know something, I like politics. I like politics. Come on, Mulroney, for God's sakes, a bunch of crooked lawyers, you know. And he said, "I don't you say that, because I might be a lawyer." Well, I said, "You'll be I'll still call you a crooked lawyer when you become a lawyer," and we'd laugh it off, right?
Yeah. Growing up, I'm wondering if Brian Mulroney already had that sort of superpower where he could shake anybody's hand and remember their name.
Yeah, I think so. Brian was, one thing about him, he was bright. He could remember things. I mean, like I say, if we decided to do something, we also, 2 days later, we don't want to do that. He'd say, hey guys, remember tomorrow. What we got to do tomorrow. Come on, stop being bossy, for God's sake. But he was like that. He was like that, but it was great for us because he was like a leader, but he always had, Brian always had a smile on his face. Brian, it's true. He
walked around with a smile.
Always walked around with a smile. I was a happy kid. Always a happy guy. I mean, I don't ever remember seeing. I mean, maybe he get in a hard fight once in a while, like we all did, eh? But no, he always had a smile on his face. He could always say hello to people. And that was the biggest thing. I mean, I remember the elder people saying that. Isn't he a nice young fella?
You had a lot of phone conversations with Mr. Mulroney.
Yeah.
Over decades and decades.
Yeah.
How much are you going to miss that voice?
Oh. Terrible.
It's tough. It was a pretty unique voice, too.
Yep. And the thing is every time you phone him, it didn't matter where he was. It doesn't matter who he was with. he'd pick up that telephone, and he has always had that. I could see him because it's his voice, and you could see the laughter. How are you doing, Walt? How's everything? Really full of it.
He cared.
He cared. Oh, he really cared. There's nothing about it. He cared for everybody, really. Very few people that he didn't really take the time to sit down and, you phone him. Like I say, the little things he did, it's incredible.
Thank you for sharing your stories with us.